Morning, everyone. I was listening to Dr. Zac Bush this morning, and he just had a really nice. I heard him a few months ago. He was in a discussion with Del Bigtree, and I've been following him a bit ever since. And because so many people are being taken off, my feeds in, YouTube and Facebook and everything, I thought I'd hop onto his website and have a look. And this is just about another perspective. It's a year of learning, as we all know. It's a year of learning. So, and what he was talking about was the virome and how big it is. So he was talking, I'm not sure whether he was talking about full viruses or viral particles that are floating in the air all the time. There's a massive amount of viruses that are always there, that we're breathing in constantly. It's part of our air, it's part of the ocean, it's part of our water supply. And he was actually making an interesting point, saying that when we get a virus, it's like an update to our DNA. So the whole concept of herd immunity is often about us having protection for something else. And he's saying that the current challenge, on the planet will potentially, for those people who do come in contact with the virus, they will probably end up having health benefits down the track. So and he kept talking about the virome, and I thought, well, I've been to many conferences in the last, say, dozen years where they've talked about the microbiome, and I had always thought of viruses as being part of the microbiome. Anyway, he sort of had this nice little overview here that I thought I would just read straight from his website. And if you're interested, I get onto his newsletter, and I don't need my glasses. It's big enough. So this is just straight from zacbushmd.com, and it's about the virome. The last 30 years of microbiome research necessitates a radical shift in our model of human health. After centuries of the warfare mentality of the Western medicine mindset, it's critical we rapidly come to terms with the reality that we are not against nature, but instead we are the result of nature. The intelligence of nature that emanates through all levels of life on Earth has revealed itself through recent decades of science to be the result of the microbiome. The microbiome offers an extraordinary capacity for genetic diversification through the mechanisms of horizontal gene transfer, exosomes, and viruses. In the midst of the most extreme collapse of human health in history, we have come upon the profound realization that human cells are not at the center of human health. Instead, the microbiome, functioning as the life-giving soil within our gut and even our internal organ systems, is at the core function of human health. This new science of bacteria, fungus, parasites, and viruses necessitates a restructuring of our biological models of genomics, proteomics, inflammation, carcinogenesis, immunity, and infectious disease. The last 3 decades have seen a catastrophic increase in childhood chronic diseases, infertility, and metabolic collapse in young adults, along with the rise of epidemic, neurodegenerative, and cancer conditions in adults. The trajectory of these disease curves predict the collapse of the human population and the likelihood of our own extinction within the century. Simultaneously, microbiome research in soil, water, and air systems of the planet provide additional insights into the crisis, demonstrating that the collapse of human health and survival is symptomatic of a fundamental collapse of planetary health and biology. We must immediately correct our paradigm. We must end our germ warfare tactics and embrace the reality of the life in and around us. The microbiome and the remarkable communication pathway of the virome must be understood as our salvation rather than our enemy. If we shift direction quickly, we can become co-creative partners with this nature to prevent our own extinction and to bring forth the richest biodiversity and vitality that this planet has ever seen. He just has such a nice, to him, everything about the planet is around it's around bugs. You know, I remember because I think when certainly in my circles, it was around 12 years ago when we started chatting about the microbiome, and some of the speakers were just amazing. You know, it was one of the guys who was Scottish. Actually, one year we had two Scots. One was a ASD Scottish professor, and he sort of, you know, he could only look in one direction with a hand in a pocket and was very monotone the way he spoke. But I loved him because it made it, I happened to be in his line of sight. So out of 600 people in the audience, I was pretty lucky in that I happened to be right in front of him. And I loved the way he just spoke, and he had zero tolerance for questions that he didn't have an answer to. He would simply say, the science doesn't answer that yet. The science, you know, when he was asked about his opinion on things, it was pretty funny because he, you know, when they had the panel of speakers after each session, he would say the science does not answer that, and he would refuse to give an opinion or a theory on something, which, you know, just fairly interesting because most people who are looking at the natural world, most people have fairly big opinions, as you may have noticed with me. So it was just sort of interesting. But anyway, so when we first started hearing about it, I think they were saying that maybe there were about 1,000 different bacteria in the gut, and then the next year it was like 2,500. And then when they did a study looking at the Mediterranean diet, they sort of found that if things are organic and eating healthy and getting a lot of diversity in our foods, we can have up to 6,000 gut bacteria. I don't know whether the testing was getting better. And when they've looked at biofilm on the teeth in people that they found from, you know, 10,000 years ago, they've actually found that there were up to 20,000 varieties going back, you know, thousands of years ago, which shows how much we've destroyed our microbiome by our genetic modification of foods, by the antibiotics in our meats, by what we're doing to our foods, the fluoride and chlorine in the water, which, you know, are antibiotics. They kill bugs, so they will be destroying, you know, the biodiversity of our microbiome. Anyway, he was great to listen to this morning. It was a series on, it was actually on vaccines, but he was more talking about the virome and bacteria and how diverse it is. And anyway, I just sort of share that with you. If you're interested, get onto his website, zacbushmd.com. Anyway, that's, yes, it's getting to that time. So I'm going to do a quick little meditation for us, and then I'll be getting into my day. Take care.